What's up, you guys? In today's video, I'm going to give you my short-term review on my brand new 2022 Trek Slash 9.7. And stay tuned to the end of this video where I'm going to give you guys a detailed overview, all the upgrades I've done in this bike so far, and what I have planned for the future of this bike. Now, this video is primarily going to focus on how this bike handles on the trail, how this thing climbs on the way up, how this bike handles the descents on the way down, and I'm going to be referencing my last bike, which was a YT Capra Elite. Now, I sold that YT Capra Elite to get this brand new Trek Slash, so I thought it'd only be fair to kind of reference that bike when I'm talking through this and going through my thoughts, just giving you my honest feedback the way we all do when we get a new bike. Was this worth it? How does this bike ride in comparison to my last bike? What are some things I like about this bike? Is there anything I don't like about this bike? But without further ado, let's get on the trail and start riding. All right, you guys, we're out here, Mountain of the Rogue, Southern Oregon, climbing up this Rat Pack trail. We're gonna talk real quick about this Trek Slash 9.7. How does it climb? Powered with this Shimano SLX drivetrain, XT derailleur. I've had to get used to the shifting on this bike. My last bike, like I already told you guys, was the YT Capra Elite with the SRAM X01 drivetrain. And when you shift with the SRAM drivetrain, you have to kind of let off as you shift going uphill. Versus this Shimano, I'm pedaling as hard as I can and shifting while I'm doing it. And that's actually the technology they have in the Shimano drivetrain. Encourages you to shift while you're pedaling. And I've had to retrain myself on that. As we're climbing up, one of the big features with these newer Trek Slashes is that updated geometry. I didn't think my YT Capra was that bad at climbing. But after riding this Slash, I actually had to go back and ride my Trek Fuel EX and try and take that up some climbs, because I feel like this bike climbs like almost as good as my Fuel EX, except for it's just a tiny bit heavier. So does it climb? Absolutely. For an enduro bike, keep that in mind. All right, now let's take this switchback right here, which segues perfectly into the turning radius. I have no problems with the Trek knock block. I don't do X-ups, bar spins, tail whips, and I really don't need to spin my bars all the way around. So why would you take it out? I don't know, leave a comment below. Do you guys like Trek knock block? Would you guys delete it from this bike? Would you guys keep it on this bike? Let me know in the comments below. I think that would be kind of interesting, but we're definitely putting it to the test on this trail right here, because there's just nothing but switchbacks climbing up this Rat Pack trail at Mountain of the Rogue. So let's go ahead and hit this switchback right here and show you guys what we're talking about. I mean, this is a pretty tight switchback right here. You can see right there, that's where my bars would be limited. So coming up around this switchback, even if I hit it as tight as I possibly could, I basically would be hitting my leg, and I'm still not gonna run out of turning radius on this thing. So even on these super tight switchbacks, climbing up this trail right now, the knock block, still good to go. The next thing we're gonna be talking about on this bike is that climb switch right there. Flipping it down right there firms up the suspension. Flipping it up right there opens up the suspension. Really the only complaint I have about this rear shock so far is that it doesn't have an additional compression dial on the top. Being OEM, stuff that comes spec'd on your bike isn't always up to date with the stuff you get aftermarket. But without further ado, let's get to climbing, figure out how good this firm switch works. I got the firm switch closed up right now. I got to remember when I get to the top to open that back up. To be perfectly honest with you guys, yes, I can definitely feel the difference. It bobs just a bit more with that firm switch open, but I usually just keep it open because it's a pain, and it never fails that when I close it to firm that suspension up for those longer rides, I never remember to open it back up at the top. All right. Whew. So, made it up to the top. This is where I'm gonna be heading back downhill. I'm gonna go ahead before I forget, open up that firm switch, since I never seem to remember to do that. Hey, if you guys have made it this far, go ahead and smash that like button while I take a rest real quick. I film these videos solo, so there's a lot of running up and down the hill. A lot goes into trying to make these videos interesting for you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead, catch my breath for a second before we get to bombing back down this hill. Real quick, I just wanted to take time to talk about this down tube storage right here. I love this water bottle holder. I love the fact that you got this down tube storage. Awesome place to store any kind of fix-a-flat stuff or just snack bars. You can also throw that trash back in there so you're not littering the trail when you're done. Slap your water bottle back on and you're ready to go. Time to start heading downhill on this bike. Dropper post down, dropping into that party gear. This is where the real fun begins. I'm 6'2", this is a size large, so I'm definitely at the top of the sizing chart for this, and that's kind of where I wanted it intentionally, because I'm that guy that likes to have a little more fun and whip my bike around a little bit more. This fork, I mean, I do wish this thing had a Fox 38 fork. I am a 210-pound rider, and I try and ride a bit more aggressive and hard at times. Definitely want to be able to take this bike to the bike park. This fork feels super plush, and definitely as much as you would need for a trail like this, but whew, a little loose right there. I think I'm gonna want a Fox 38 for this summer when it comes to the bike park season. Ooh, trail's a little wetter on this side of the mountain. Oh, a little rocky section there, there we go. I'm gonna go down just like a couple clicks on the rebound right here. That's one of the cool things that this rebound knob has, this dial on it. Hopefully you guys can see it right there. So right now I'm on a 6. Here goes 5, 4. I'm gonna go down to a 4. Just feeling like the back end was kicking up a little bit more. Rebound was just a little faster than I liked it. Oh, barely cleared that one. Oh shoot. There we go. This bike pops so easy. I'm like barely going fast enough and still clearing those jumps. I mean, just barely clearing them, but I'm not hitting this trail with enough speed. I should not be able to clear those jumps like that. Spike corners, super good. Pops, nice and easy. Brakes, there's a little bit of a wandering bite point like people talk about with these Shimano brakes. Trying. Oh shoot. Try and stop talking, make sure I know what trail's coming in front of me. Nice. It's a fun little one. Woo! A little sloppy there. I tell you what, guys, this bike is so much fun when you point this thing down the hill. These brakes, a little bit of a wandering bite point on the brakes, The fork, that Fox 36 fork, I think for trails like I'm riding today, it's totally fine. I definitely want to upgrade this to a 38 as I get ready for the bike park season. But right now, I'm gonna go back, get this jump so I can clear it all the way, and then we're gonna head down to the parking lot and wrap this bike check up. All right, so we're back off the trail, got the bike all cleaned off. Wanted to cover a couple more things. So the tires on this bike, the XR5 team issue tires, I'm happy with those on the trails I've been riding so far. I'll definitely want to upgrade those as I look towards bike park season to something a little bit burlier, something with a little bit heavier casing. I'll cover more on that when I cover all the upgrades on this bike in detail. Handlebars, the bars come at 820 width. I got those things down to 800. I'm 6'2", a little bit of a longer wingspan on me, so 800 is right about where I like to be. The cockpit, the shifting on that SLX drivetrain with the XT derailleur, I'm loving the way that thing feels when it's shifting. I kind of already talked about that. The dropper post, I've had no issues with this dropper post. The Trek Slash, as you guys know, since 2021 has got that larger diameter dropper post with a 34.9. I did clean up the cockpit a little bit right there and added the Shimano Matchmaker. I'm sorry, not the Shimano Matchmaker, that's SRAM. The Shimano I-Spec in order to clean up the cockpit and put that dropper post lever right there on with the brake lever. Moving down onto the suspension, I already talked a little bit about the fork. I'm definitely gonna be looking to upgrade that. The rear shock, I talked to you guys about it in the video, the fact that I didn't like that this OEM rear shock doesn't have a compression knob right there on the top. However, after just messing with the rebound a little bit on the trail, that was the only issue I had. Once when I lowered that rebound, or it wasn't really bucking me over the jumps, I didn't really feel the need to mess with any kind of compression knob anyways. This brand new Fox Float X rear shock really left nothing to be desired, and that's a lot coming from me considering my last bike had the Fox X2 factory fully loaded burliest enduro rear shock you can get coming out of Fox. Cranks, covering these cranks, I didn't talk about this at all on the trail. One of the things I like about the Shimano builds on these Slash size large that I got is that it comes with 170 cranks. Another bike that I was riding, the Slash 8, had the SRAM build, and that came with 175 cranks. I felt those were just a little bit too long. I do have this in the low setting with that bottom bracket a bit lower, and with the 170 cranks, I feel like it's just a good pairing, works good for me. It does have a 30-tooth chain ring, so I kind of wish that that was up just a little bit to a 32-tooth, but all in all, I was happy with the way this bike handled. If you guys got any comments, please leave those below. And if you guys want to see more about this bike and all the upgrades that I've done, go ahead, click on that video. But most of all, get stoked, go ride, and have some fun, people.